clock ticks faster. Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Living Off Borrowed Time podcast. I'm your host, as always, Patrick RYM, if you don't know how to pronounce words. All right, I decided that since we have a very special case, and I came up with a very special, terrible intro where I decided to come up with a very special, terrible joke about my name. But this time we're going a little behind the paint and bringing in our producer, Kittenpuke, Wyatt, who I'm going to introduce before my co-host, Caleb, OptimalAudio, just as a special honor. So I hope you feel specially honored.
I do. I feel like the carpet has certainly been rolled out for me.
As it should. As it like
and now
the
I'm
most.
going to screech the fucking podcast to a halt and talk about a Charles Hamilton album.
Yes.
We had
Shut
to.
up.
So we had to.
Shut up while I
Sonic.
talk about Charles Hamilton. This is why people listen to the show, so I can talk about things that people care about, like Charles Hamilton albums.
God, sorry, Mom. He's got to talk about Charles Hamilton.
Exactly. Charles
The
Hamilton has
segment.
over 540 albums. I'm going to try and get through all of them in the next calendar year. And I listened to one over the course of this week. It was 1028. This is Charles Hamilton getting drunk and rapping over a bunch of Ninth Wonder beats over what appears to be a cell phone that he put in the middle of his living room. And generally better than the ones he did where he put a cell phone in the middle of his living room and rapped over Mad Lib beats. About half of these are actually pretty charming. The thing about Charles is he's like that guy at a party who will always insist on rapping, and you're like, oh, fuck, he's going to do it again. But then when he starts doing it, it's like, this is pretty entertaining. And he does it longer than you wish he would, but he's still pretty entertaining when he does it. And doing it over the course of an album, the beats are actually recorded pretty well, so it's entertaining. This starts off really obnoxious because it's called Arguments with Brianna, is the subtitle of 1028. And if you look at it, it has something about tweets in it, and it's written in like crayon, like Kanye's cover for Yay, where he brags about being bipolar, which is our obligatory initial Kanye mention. I'm sure not our last, but yeah. So he's being pretty immature about women to start, but then about track 4 is the CH show, the Charles Hamilton show, and all of a sudden he forgets about women and starts rapping like crazy good for about 3 tracks over Ninth Wonder beats. And he picks really good Ninth Wonder beats that I don't recognize, which is very impressive. Which is just the weird thing about Charles Hamilton. You feel like he gets drunk, makes his girlfriends or whatever girls are interested in him mad, and then goes home and just gets drunk and raps at beat tapes for hours and hours and hours and records it and calls it an album. And this was him doing that with Ninth Wonder stuff. And it gets a little obnoxious sometimes, but this impressed me about half the time, and there are 2 or 3 songs on here I would show to somebody that doesn't know him that might be impressed and not know what his old shit is and actually listen to it again. So I'm going to give him an extra Chaos Emerald on this compared to the last one. 6 out of 10 Chaos Emeralds for Charles on 1028, Arguments with Brianna. I don't think Brianna probably got back together with him after this, though. Also, I was told I should make a correction. Amy Rose is not a female hedgehog. Has a fucking hammer or something. I don't know. Ryan wanted me to correct her.
She
I don't know. Because
is a female hedgehog. Come on. She is a female hedgehog. She's a wonderful woman with a great character and dynamic.
This is not the best way to make a good first impression.
I feel like this is perfectly setting up me as a person and as
I feel like
producer.
this is the perfect thing for the Charles Hamilton part of the show, arguing about Amy Rose. But beyond that,
I'm enjoying this very much. I'm just sitting here
Listen,
listening to people talking
you
about
want-
hedgehogs.
It's like you said last episode. If you want to get Hamilton to listen to this episode, these are the types of things we need to go over.
that is true, and I'm pretty sure there's at least one mixtape devoted entirely to Amy Rose. At least. So, possibly a series. I don't know. Anyway, this was one of the better ones. So, if you're following along, the link will be included in the description. I'm also going to start a spreadsheet where I include the link to whatever. I might not do this. I'm not going to promise this until I do it. Never mind. I'm taking that one back. But if I actually do it, then I'll talk about it. So, Anyway, the actual topic of the episode is going to be something that we promised in the past and that we kind of talked about in the past in an episode that has been thankfully redacted from history. We're talking about Lil Peep. Sadly lost rapper Lil Peep, who has been greatly influential, that we've discussed a lot in recent times on the show. We're going to go through his discography, his influence, and our favorite songs of his, obviously, and just kind of how he's had an influence on current artists, the current musical trends, how his legacy has sort of been misconstrued by people or misappropriated by people, I think, including actual songs that have been taken from him.
Yeah, it's a bit messy after a certain point. Peep and his discog and basically what people took away from him.
Well, it's weird that he was misunderstood when he was alive and misappropriated when he was dead. But there was that short window, I think, that led people like me who didn't understand him when he was alive to get it, and then get it enough that they understood that it was bullshit when something like that single happened.
Right, and
Right.
I don't know. I think it's tough because I think to understand how Lil Peep ended up being the star that he was for a very short period of time, you kind of have to understand the scene that kind of birthed it, because I feel like he was ultimately ended up being the one poster child for a specific movement within the underground of rap music, and then he was the guy that blew up from it. Because I mean, you could say X, but they were doing very different things, and I feel like they were two sides of a different coin, even though a lot of people probably in that sphere who are in the know listened to both of them at the same time.
Well, who blew up first? Who would you say got notoriety in the mainstream first? X?
I think X a little bit first. I mean, they were around the same time, but
yeah, I'm having a hard time recollecting. I was gonna say Peep did, at least in
Well,
terms of me, maybe from my perspective. But I know I had heard and seen Peep get covered before X, but I could be off on
well,
that.
no, I think you might be right, because I remember. I mean, Peep. The really thing about him is he just straight up started making music, and then very quickly it went somewhere. We'll get to it, but Lil Peep Part 1, he made in his house, right? So he made I'm pretty sure he made Star Shopping in his home, and his mic broke and the song was supposed to be longer or something like that, and that's how the song came out.
Wow.
But I remember
that song came out perfect.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You know what? I'm looking at it right now. I'm pretty sure 17 came out in 2017, which is, I think that's the year Peep died, right?
Yeah, but no, but
Okay,
look at me came out in 2016 though, and that was getting traction in 2016. I don't know,
Yeah, you're
because
probably right.
Peep had Beamer Boy that same year, which was getting a lot of traction.
Okay, so Beamer Boy was a single, because that actually was the thing that floored me the most when I was doing my homework for this episode. That Beamer Boy was incredible. Beamer Boy fucking floored
That's
me. I had
that
not
song
heard
is
before, and that song fucking floored me.
that song is a 3-minute hook. There literally is no real verse.
Yes, but content-wise too, a minute and a half in, he flips the song on itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lyrically flips it in on himself. It's and his delivery on it, and hook-wise, yeah, it's a 3-minute hook. Every line is a hook.
My favorite part of that song is when he says I'll show you, baby, I was chosen, and then
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to skip to California Boy, but California Boy gives me serious Frank Ocean vibes.
Oh, the California Girls EP, you mean?
California Girl, I'm sorry. I keep getting it mixed up with a Lil B song for some reason. Yeah, the California Girls EP. Overall, that, the way it feels a little his vocal delivery on that feels a little blondish to me.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. He has so many influences that I can't trace each.
That feels like where he was going with it. He started in that pop punk space, and he ended up in more of a distorted all R&B somewhere between Max B and Frank Ocean.
Well, the California Girls, I think is his like cloudiest like release. Like it
It's
has
the most interesting to me, but I don't want to skip
It
forward
probably
to it.
is.
it has because California World, the track with Craig Zen is like a cloud rap song through and through, like 100%. And it's like so hazy and like ethereal.
Yeah. For a lot of the EP, well, yeah, we don't want to jump ahead, but a lot of the EP his vocals are both anybody, Craig Zen too. All of their vocals are mixed so far in the back compared to where the beat is. It's almost overpowering. At least the first time I remember hearing it, I was like, you could barely understand what they're saying just by the fact that they're mixed so low. And
Which is very much a contrast to how Peep normally is in a lot of his songs, where he's very upfront. He might as well be like right in your face, screaming at you. Like that's part of what his whole appeal was. But I think that he was directly at you, and so now he's doing this very reverb thing, which kind of, I don't know. The feel I got off of California Girls was very much listening to Blonde for the first time, where it just felt like somebody was being buried behind walls and walls of reverb, walls and walls of trying to remove themselves from very powerful emotions that they were expressing, but removing themselves musically.
No, that's an interesting. I actually really didn't think of it that way, but at the same, like I could see it, and I mean I feel like it's still an early project of his, so we might as well talk about it now because we can, he didn't have that many, like, I mean, he had a lot of EPs, but not a lot of them were, like, truly essential in the sense of, like, they're good for, like, big fans to listen to. And
I sampled a few. They're little knickknacks here and there of, I could probably say that maybe he was just trying things out, literally, with every EP. Like, Feels, there's, like, one
Feels
song
is really
that's...
good.
Feels is good, but there's like the title track is like actually like a halfway a horrorcore song, because he's it's like the only time I've ever noticed that he's ever rapped about like specifically I'm gonna just kill you.
Do you prefer Feels to the Animal Collective Feels?
Probably, because I think Feels is pretty boring.
Yeah,
as is most of Animal Collective's like supposed big album streak, post-sung tongs. I don't really go for that.
I mean, you're really trying to bait me into talk about Merriweather right now.
Is there anything to talk about with Merriweather?
Is
there anything? The singles are good.
Poking the bear, bruh. Poking the bear.
Ooh, it's
the
still
what?
It's still easily their best record, but besides the point,
I mean, that's also false, but still. I mean,
it's fine. By the way, I have a guest in mind for the Anko episode, but we'll go over that.
All right, this is just a teaser for the
teaser. We'll do an Anko episode. I guess, but okay, to your point about like the EPs, I do think that in the case of California Girls, like it was when all of what he was trying like really hit, and the brevity of it, like 22 minutes. I think like it's got 3 songs on there that I think are like perfect tracks, like California World, Beamer Boy, and Lil Kennedy. I love
Lil Kennedy. Okay, we had a discussion about this in the chat. What was more egregious, him comparing himself to JFK or Lil Wayne comparing himself to Martin Luther King on Carter 3?
Definitely the latter.
Assassinate me, bitch, because I'm doing the same shit that Martin Luther King did. Like, are you? Are you really doing the same shit that Martin Luther King did, Lil Wayne?
It's really an incredible line. Lil Peep kind of, I mean, look, now it makes... I feel like he did this, though, where it's like comparing yourself to JFK is kind of like comparing yourself to, insert, like, icon that died, like Cobain or something, where it's like...
He has a great song called Cobain. I couldn't
figure
out what project it was on, but I heard the Slater Slowed and Reverb version of that I loved.
It's on,
it's Hellboy.
It's Hellboy, yeah.
Which we're gonna...
I heard Incel Boy.
It's on Hellboy.
Hellboy.
My
Hellboy?
Goodness.
Yeah,
it's on Hellboy, which we're gonna get to, and we're gonna have.
Now. I heard you correctly now. I'm sorry.
We're gonna have a discussion.
But wow, I can't believe that. I did not like Hellboy when we get to it. But apparently I didn't listen close enough. Much like when you said that. So.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god! But no, I will say, like, I feel like the California Girls, like, I really get the. I feel like it's one that I would show people who weren't like huge into him because it's definitely got like it really encapsulates that like this kind of like not stumbling into profundity, but just like kind of this quietly profound and like beautiful like way he could write songs where it's like not pretentious and over your head with it. It's more of just like it's so straightforward that it just kind of is heartbreaking at points. Like I think Beamer Boy is so straightforward and it's such an anthem, and that passion and like charisma and all of everything that made him like special is on display like on that song and on the project in general.
I agree with you. I feel like that could be his downfall on when we get to the Come Over When You're Sober projects, where he tried to transport that into a pop punk context where it came off like really flat with anthems that felt to me like watered down Linkin Park and Newfound Glory. But when he's doing it here, it feels like, again, akin to something Frank Ocean does on Blonde in a different sort of way, where they're both being nakedly honest and plain spoken with you. Like, it feels like there's no sort of forethought behind the words. And that I mean that in the best possible sort of way. Like, there's no sort of pre-considered. They're just saying it to you like it comes to them. And somehow they have the most appropriate musical backing for that. And
yeah,
it feels
I mean,
immediate.
when you have songs,
catchy.
When you have catchy songs, but the title is "I Pray I Die" or "Let Me Bleed," like it's that sort of juxtaposition, like is in your face about it, but it's not cloying. Like it's what I talked about on our episode with Trout Mask. Like it's the sincerity to me that is like super powerful, and like that earnestness is like really endearing.
Well, that's why I got so mad at the MGK song. Also, there is a line on the Charles Hamilton album where he says, "Shout out to MGK, even though I dissed you." That album's from like 2012, so I guess he was dissing Machine Gun Kelly back in 2012.
He was ahead of the wave.
Even though then he shouts him out because that's Charles Hamilton. But fuck MGK. We will not shout you out. Your song rips off Lil Peep really bad, and it sounds like a really bad All-American Rejects ripoff because Lil Peep is not invoking All-American Rejects in any of these songs. Like, even at his worst, he would not rip off a ripoff. Like, no. That's not where he's going with this.
Yeah, no, he's a different lane, and I'm glad to say I still haven't heard a single MGK song ever, so I'll keep that going.
Not even in research for the podcast we did where we talked about the MGK song?
No. I feel like I just listen to you guys. Sometimes I'll listen to albums to join on discussion, but other times no, I can't be bothered.
So you're not going to listen to a bunch of Anacon when we have Spinks on?
Maybe, I don't know.
The problem with once you listen to a bunch of Anacon, you're gonna turn into like all rap is bad except Anacon releases kind of person. So it's like it's a double-edged sword.
Never forget the two comps that were titled what was it? Music for the Advancement of Hip Hop.
Yeah.
I love hip hop albums that sound like community college course titles. Also, shout out to I'm reading a book about conspiracy theorist Bill Cooper, who had a radio show, and I've been shitting a lot on Talib Kweli lately because he's a paranoid, crazy asshole on Twitter. But he does apparently have one good line quoted in this book about how he talked about how he used to be into Bill Cooper and the New World Order shit, but then he said you got to check who the author is in his next bar about that on some album that I have not listened to. So that's a really good bar, actually. Like taking that conspiracy theory shit, because a big part of this book that I'm getting into, and the whole reason I read it was about how it has influenced a lot of 90s gangster rap, is Behold a Pale Horse. Like, if you listen to Wu, you listen to Immortal Technique, you listen to fucking Cube quoted it, Nas quoted it at some point. So it's been a big influence, and it's full of shit. It quotes the fucking Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
I mean,
not a reliable source.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, we're seeing a lot of like athletes or like rappers or people in the entertainment industry being outed lately for this sort of shit.
Yeah, just the oddest of takes and views that I can't even fathom sometimes.
I can't, like, they actually went, there's a whole chapter that just goes into the 5%er shit, which I had listened to 5%er rap for about 20 years at this point. I don't think I really knew what 5%erism was.
I had read about it a bit, and I was always just like, this seemed like, I don't want to say it's a thing of its time because I'm not aware of its popularity now with a lot of today's rappers, but I do know that for around the 90s time, it certainly was the thing that gained a lot of traction in a lot of hip hop groups.
It was definitely how much dust you were doing in the 90s. Like, it's that sort of thing.
Right.
I mean, speaking of smoking dust, you had Bust on the Get By remix, and if you wasn't 5% instead of acting stupid, like, it's like, all right, one of the best remixes ever, and now you're yelling at me for not being a 5%er. Like, fuck you. But seriously. So
I don't even know if you could be white and be a 5%er. I don't know how that works.
I've been in enough jam band parties to know that there's probably a white 5%er in one of them. So
there's got to be.
Please,
that one guy.
Behold a Pale Horse. So anyway, I don't know how we can tie this back to Lil Peep, but I don't know if Lil Peep believed in the 5%er movement.
You know, I don't think so. Although Lil Peep's was it his dad or his grandfather? His grandfather was like a big like communist. Who's like,
really?
Yeah, he was like a.
The title of this video was Lil Peep a 5%er. That might get us more views.
Wait, hold on. I'm actually gonna look up because his grandfather was definitely like. His grandfather, influential as a Marxist historian and longtime professor at Harvard.
All right, fellow traveler Lil Peep. I'll take it.
Yeah, and also Lil Peep, Terrence Malick is like a close family friend of Lil Peep.
Yeah, the documentary. I wanted to get
he'd touch on Live Forever for like a second, and then we could do Crybaby and Hellboy and the Come Over When You're Sober.
I accidentally hit the record button, by the way, so this is on
camera. No, I can cut it all.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna start back on Lil Peep Part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't, mall music, shout out to Boy Fruit. I don't know who he is. I haven't listened to this. I know Caleb has.
Yeah, it's super mid.
Boy, what? What?
It's fruit? Like, it's not even, it's like he made this. First of all, the cover art, it's very like 2015. I'm on SoundCloud, which is very funny. But like, they definitely made this in like a day or two. Like, this was you could tell it's like the earliest Lil Peep project. So
yeah, there's a feature by a person named Young Rhubarb.
Yep.
Which,
Yep.
That's a
who does he have he does not have an RYM page. Oh, I was really looking forward to seeing what else.
I was really looking forward to hearing what Young Rhubarb was up to.
I was really looking forward to the last track, Hate My. Oh no, wait, that was.
Hate my
fucking life. I thought that said Hate Fucking Life, and I was like, that's a great title.
I mean,
but no.
Young Rhubarb.
Young Rhubarb.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I gotta find some reason to mention Young Rhubarb in this fucking podcast.
Anyway, shout out to Young Rhubarb.
We gotta get back to the show. All right, so let's go talk about Lil Peep Volume 1.
Yep, and it's another kind of like what we were saying with California Girls. Like, this and California Girls, I think, are like his cloudiest like releases. Like, this is still, it's definitely like, in the emo rap bucket, but it also is like
It's in that. It's perfectly fits in that
Yeah.
Schemaposse like this. This feels like a Schemaposse, or at least what I know of a Schemaposse. Like this feels like a type of release that would come out by them definitely.
Well, they had, like 8 million members that all were there for like a year, and then it disbanded.
Yeah, it only lasted like 2 years as a group, and then it wasn't, and then it came back, and now who knows? I still see releases that say Schemaposse on them, so I have absolutely no idea what the state of that is.
If you like watch the documentary, it was basically just like a bunch of people like living in this house and like divvying up the rent with the very little amount of money they had, and then like just making music every day, and like making music like with a very, very DIY makeshift studio next to a computer, and like somebody was producing the song.
Right.
And like that's what it was. So it was very, it was definitely very like grassroots, like real underground shit.
Yeah, similar to like Thrax's house, which I guess we'll get. Peep has ties to, and maybe we'll probably get to in a bit here.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that a lot of his pop sensibilities kind of come through here. Just the way he does things can't help but come across melodic, no matter how rough his actual vocals are on a technical level. Like, the very first song is immediately arresting, both in the naked lyricism of it and in just, again, like, I think every line he spits can be a hook. That's his biggest appeal. That's something that every 2000s emo artist yearned for, was to be able to say something emotional and resonant and also have it be catchy. And he's able to do that over and over and over and over. But his sensibility comes from someplace different. And he does it differently pretty much every time out. And it's most appealing to me when it's over something cloudy or distorted. We'll get to when it comes across something more close to those 2000s emo records. I'm not as fond of that. Here, it feels more a piece with, like, almost something you could hear, like, fucking Doppelgangers over, almost. Like, it's that cloudy. It's that, like, just in that lane.
It's definitely like
doing something different and weird and in his own lane with the lyricism over it. And I feel like the big touchstone for him is Kid Cudi.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, what I know about his influences that he's spoken about is in interviews. Like, I know he said like Future's like one of his favorite rappers, and he mentioned the like throwaway coding crazy like Future, which definitely makes sense when you listen to like this sort of stuff. He mentioned like Chosen One, like those type of songs, which are like kind of like a super melodic, like drugged out, like sad, like ballads or requiems, essentially, like that lane of Future's music, which I think you can hear, but you can also hear like, I don't know what, I mean, The Way I See Things is one of the best songs, I think, of the late 2010s. Like, it's so good. It's
the switch up that he does on when he starts going into the rapping is just great.
Like, that song,
a great way of going into rapping from singing that reminds me of Max B and Future as well. And I feel like maybe I'm being too much of an old head, and as I cried about on the previous episode, a boomer, by talking about, like, I didn't even know who Max B and Future, I said Max B. Who was the other fucking reference point I used? I can't even remember. God damn it.
You use doppelgangers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doppelgangers, but I had another one that I had in my head that I didn't think I said.
I mean, besides Cudi.
But either way, it just seems like it's very immediate in the way it's crafted, and I don't think it maybe draws on as many outside references I want to impose on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that you could take bits and pieces of a lot of different like P projects and attribute them to something that came before them.
I mean, I feel like the later. I feel like the call me when you're sober stuff is definitely outwardly influenced by emo pop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he definitely had a love for that type of stuff, and he was like, and it grew with time. It's a steady progression from like, oh, I'm rap influenced, I think, to I'm going to go full in on more of the actual emo, like rock sound side of what I'm doing.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think just off of this tape, like I said, like the way I see things is a very personal, like personally important song for me. Like I've listened to that song, countless times over the last like couple years. It like, the kind of that song and Star Shopping, which are both on this tape, like those those songs, Gym Class 2, which came out a little after this, but isn't on an actual project. Like those type of songs, like were really huge into like were probably the first things I listened to right around the time that he died, just as like a way of getting into him more because I had only listened to Come Over When You're Sober and Castles 2 previously, and I remember I'm pretty sure I thought Come Over When You're Sober was mid, and I'm pretty sure I liked Castles 2, and I hadn't heard anything else just from just not like paying attention essentially, and also hearing like negative things about it, which of course was misguided, but at the same time I came to like part one and was like immediately struck by those tracks, and the whole thing's great. Like it's a really great project.
It's a good project. I came into part one. This is actually probably the last one I listened. No, Live Forever, but this is the second to last one that I probably listened to in terms of his mixtapes and everything, and I guess albums. This was like it was me coming off of like the Hellboy, Crybaby like area, and then I listened to Come Over When You're Sober Part 1. And then, like, after I adjusted all of that, I came into this, and it feels a lot. It's like his most. It's probably his most like downtoned, like if that's a word, his
downbeat.
His downbeat album. Like it's really like somber. There's not many like. There's definitely swelling parts that like really build an emotion, but for the most part, it's just like. It feels like he's a lot more like mumbly and like just quiet in his vocal performance here. He's just sad a lot more on this, like in terms of like a quiet way. And it's only until you get to things like High School. I think it's Me, like, and the later half with like. Wannabe, Shame on You, and probably Star Shopping that it's like picks back up.
Yeah.
You said when it gets to High School is the third song, and High School through to It's Me or Ghost Boy, that's the meat of the album, so that's a good part of the album. I would have to say Veins is a really good song, and Star Shopping is the closer, so that's most of the album. And this is my second favorite one behind California Girls. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. And again, like I expected to be coming through this kicking and screaming and being told to eat my vegetables. Like, oh, like this, the kids like this, you should like this, don't be a fucking boomer. They called you a boomer online, don't be a fucking boomer, you boomer. And and it was really genuinely good. Like I really I actually thought the first track was great too. Like, and you said the second, like, you know what? No. I think I genuinely enjoy pretty much every track on here.
I like most of this. This isn't my favorite. We'll get to my favorite, but this isn't my favorite. I think it took me. It's like I was gonna say. This one took me a bit. I didn't get to it, but this one took me a bit to get used to actually, because I was coming off of those albums. It's not too different, but it's different enough that I was having a bit of an issue with it and like. Trying to get into certain tracks and just like overall wasn't feeling outside of the really obvious singles and like clearly standout tracks like The Way I See Things, Star Shopping, and all that. Nowadays, since doing this and I was preparing for this, I think I like it a lot more than I did. I like a lot more of the tracks, but there's some stuff that I don't like. But I think it's definitely a really strong start to like where Peep was gonna go, like as a base for Peep.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really excellent project. It's my third favorite of his. Second or third, depending on the day. But I think it's my third favorite.
I just prefer the way he writes hooks in this mode as opposed to the come over when you're sober mode. It just appeals to me more. But I see where the appeal is in those tracks. We'll get to that when we get to that. But we can move on from this one. I feel like we've kind of. I just will say that given the title, the titles of the songs and the cover art, I was really expecting to hate this. I can't say that enough, and I really liked it. So, if that's an endorsement to you, I was coming into this really expecting to shit on it, and I liked it. All right, continuing.
I mean, I guess we could spend like a few seconds on Live Forever because I'm assuming Patrick hasn't heard it. I know you've heard it, KP.
Don't even know what
you're
talking about.
This is the next mixtape right after Live Forever. It was also a Schemaposse release. It's okay. It's for me, there's a couple tracks, but it's probably, and again, we're not counting mall music here, but it's probably his weakest project. It's got a couple highlights on it, but for the most part,
I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I think there he has. I mean, we're not counting some EPs then.
Well, I'm just talking about his mixtapes.
As a full length, yeah.
I'm just talking about those. As a full length, I think it's if we're not counting mall music, I think it's his weakest. And I think that again, outside of a couple tracks, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's kind of nondescript to me. It just feels like he's working things out. It's very heavy on using acoustic. It kind of parlays into I can see what he took from this and would later put into things like Hellboy with all those acoustic tracks and also Castles 1 and 2. I could see where he's going with this, but it's not fully fleshed out yet.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid project. I don't really listen to it that much because he's got a bunch of projects that I love listening to more. But I really like Give You the Moon.
Give You the Moon is great.
Yeah, I actually really like the ending, the Live Forever run to the end. I really like that stretch, and that's probably the stretch.
Does he sample Oasis?
He samples Oasis on a later release, but not this one, I don't think.
Does he sample?
He basically covers it.
Or Wonderwall?
Yeah, he covers Wonderwall, but that's a different. Well, he samples Wonderwall, but it's kind of a.
It's kind of a cover, kind of.
Yeah, but that's on a different release.
Well, yeah.
I heard that.
Which speaking of that release, I think is the next one on our list anyway.
I believe. Well, wait. Well, Castles 1.
Castles 1. Is Castles 1? I'm looking at the chronology. No.
Is it on Castles?
No.
No.
Crybaby came before Castles, so we'll do Crybaby.
Okay, so Crybaby. So now we get to your Wonderwall sample.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I heard this. I don't know. I wasn't sure because he does a lot of acoustic sample-y stuff that I blends together. So.
Right.
This is a really, really great mixtape. I love.
This is very good.
Ghost Girl is one of the best Peep songs. 19 is easily one of the best Peep songs.
Funnily enough, though, well, I guess Driveway is my least favorite, but those are the two that I usually can do without. I like the other tracks on here a lot more. Yeah, those are the two where it's like they're not bad. Again, they're not bad. It's not very often you get a bad Peep track when I really think about it. But those ones, they don't do as much for me as like the more like the other tracks here just do a lot more in terms of like little experimentations, like and samples and like vocal performances. 19's just kind of eh. Ghost Girl's probably it's not that bad. I think the way that he his singing, how he's going on that track is pretty good. But yeah, those are I would rather go for something like the chanting choruses on Big City Blues or Jesus Christ, Falling for Me. Oh, that's my highlight.
No, that is a great song. I think I don't know. I think my favorites are like the title track, Ghost Girl, 19, White Tea. White Tea is like a huge song, like White Tea was a big song for him, like in the SoundCloud,
right.
like
and for Tracy as well. This was like I don't know if he had. I'm not fully aware how much he had going prior to this because this is still young bruh Lil Tracy, but this was like the starting point for him where he was really going into that full on into that. Gothboiclique.
They straight up laid down the Postal Service Such Great Heights beat, and Lil Tracy hopped on that and said, when he does in the hook, he's like, we still connect like Wi-Fi. Like, it's so good.
So clean.
Whatever. Yeah. Shout out to Zilla Rocca, who hopped on fucking Bright Eyes, Lover I Don't Have to Love for the fucking End of the Slow Twilight on the 5 O'Clock Shadowboxers album in 2011. Hopping on fucking Jimmy Tamborello's shit like 10 years ago. But no one gave him credit.
Man, Postal Service was definitely more poppin' than Bright Eyes.
Right, but it was the same shit. And Lover I Don't Have to Love was the one Bright Eyes song that people who didn't even know Bright Eyes knew.
Fair enough, but I mean different though. Like,
but it was the same guy. He made the fucking Postal Service beats. Like that was so that's why I said it.
Fair enough, but at the same time,
this is the nerdiest thing I've ever gotten mad about on the show.
Yeah, I don't get getting mad. I don't get getting mad at that because there's no way that Lil Peep or Lil Tracy knew who Zilla Rocca was, but
or who fucking the Postal Service were possibly, maybe.
They definitely knew.
I feel like
Peep definitely knew.
No.
They wouldn't have jacked the beat and put it on a mixtape if Peep didn't know who.
Was it in Garden State? Did they see Garden State?
I feel like, I mean, if Lil Peep is listening to like 2000s emo bands and like sampling Modest Mouse on his mixtape, he definitely knows who the Postal Service were.
Fair enough.
I mean, he knows who the Microphones is from Beamer Boy and other things.
All right, that's way more obscure than the Postal Service. I'll concede this one.
Yeah, the microphone sample's crazy. The Modest Mouse.
I haven't heard that Microphones album.
The big one.
The one that like apparently everyone in RWAM loves. Like I just saw another review of that, and I'm like, oh damn, I never listened to that. So
great record.
Apparently.
But the Modest Mouse sample on 19, going back to that's from the live record, the Baron Vaughn bullshit Rides Again.
Right, that's a deep cut. Like that's how you do a Modest Mouse sample. Like fuck you, Lupe Fiasco. Well, I don't think that was his idea to do that actually. Because that song sucks. But,
terrible song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's another reason why I like 19 so much is because like it uses the sample so well, and the sample is from like a really good Modest Mouse song that like no one except diehard Modest Mouse fans would know. So I think it's like a cool flip. And 19 as a song, I know KP, it's like one of your least favorites, but one of the reasons why it's my favorite or one of my favorites on the tape is like kind of the same way I talked about with the Star Shoppings and the way I see things. Like his lyrics on it are so good, and also like everything is a hook, and he's just like the way the song kind of like stumbles over itself, the way he kind of like stumbles over his own words and everything, like. And the whole thing just bleeds together. There's not really like a division between like hook and like verse. It's just it's the Beamer Boy thing too, where it's just like one long hook, and just the way he keeps repeating like I don't want to go to school, I don't like that. Like he's talking about like blowing up and like, you know, not wanting all these like.
See, that's what I love about Beamer Boys. Also, what I love about Max B. What I love about Frank Ocean is they can just turn every part of the song into a hook.
Right.
Like at their best, every part of the song is a hook. It doesn't matter what part of the song you're into.
Yeah, and that's a talent that, you know, is rare. But I mean, he's talking about like, you know, he's talking like, you know, he's on like he doesn't want to lose this person that like he's been with, and like just because now that he's cool and like, you know, people are judging him because he's got face tats and like shit like that. It's not. It is very, you know, nothing like is inherently quote unquote deep, but it's made that way because it's so personal and so intimate, and like the way he kind of like the way the song ends too is kind of like the way Beamer Boy ends, where it's like there's just like repetition in like that hook, and then it kind of just like trails off, and it makes it feel more like powerful and like, you know, melancholic at the end. So
He had a way with outros. We'll get to when we get to my favorite song of his. We'll get to my favorite outro of his as well. But he had a way with outros, which is something that I really appreciate about him as an artist.
I think he did that on Falling for me too. To your point, like about you loving that song, KP.
Yeah. Yeah, Fallen for me is like that's if 19 is the special track to you, Falling for me is the special track for me, just because I don't know, it's something about the beat and the way he's just like I'm not much one for super into analyzing lyrics, but just the way he sounds I don't know, something about the way he's flowing on that track wall with like this just ambient as hell beat that I feel like kinda is I don't know how much Peep Clams listened to when he did 4 Gold Chains, but it gives me a bit of that. That's
Mm-hmm.
the beat gives me that same feeling as 4 Gold Chains later does, with just like this really heavy like low end on it and everything. It's just so good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's appealing about Peep is that you don't have to really psychoanalyze, deep dive rap genius's lyrics. Like he might have, like his lyrics are diary lyrics, not in that way. They're diary lyrics and they're personal and direct and to the point. And he has a way of delivering them with a catchy voice that sounds like a musical hook. And at first that felt cynical to me that somebody would be so emotionally direct with such like emotionally direct song titles like high school and gym class. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't know. I think I have my defenses up about this guy. Even his name, it was like a little really basic surface level pun. I don't know.
Well, apparently his mom gave him the name. Apparently,
right.
like
Looking into everything a little bit deeper, it all makes sense.
Right.
And yeah, that's basically how I feel about most of his music. I still find Hellboy obnoxious. The one we're going to get into later, I still don't really like. But most of his music that I listen to for the sake of this podcast, I really came to enjoy. I love California Girls. I really enjoy Part 1. I enjoy parts of a lot of his songs that I even don't like, just the way he delivers them. The Lil Tracy collabs, I think they have great chemistry, too. Like, right. I don't really have much use for Tracy solo, though.
I got into a lot of Tracy solo. I kind of just binged literally everything that he had. I think nowadays I would actually say I probably like Tracy more than Peep, but I think they're strongest as a duo. Absolutely, I think as a duo they just make magic together. When the way Peep can just perfectly make a hook, and then Tracy can like deliver that emo rap vibe, but in that like he's so slurred out, he's so oddball, and like his mixture of like goth tropes mixed with like mall, like there's just a bunch of things. The thing about Tracy's
flow is that I don't really feel like I need to hear too much of it. When he does it well, it's great. Like it's really great, and it matches really well with the instrumentals they picked on Castles.
Right. Which should we get the Castle? Are we going to go right?
Yeah, I think that's probably
sure. Yeah.
This is pretty strong, actually. I don't know. I think I remember in your review, Pat, that you weren't as big on the Slug Christ song on this EP.
Yeah,
but I
mean,
love
I
it.
think he's a bit much. That's the one bum note. I like everything else about it, actually. Like, and this was the first time I was really sold on Peep as an artist, more or less, aside from the Clam song that we'll get to.
Right.
But and even
the
then,
beat's
I
amazing.
didn't fully appreciate it until I revisited it after listening to this and some other stuff. But yeah, Slug Christ, his whole thing is just pouring it on. Like, excess does not equal quality.
I want to say that from what I know of Slug Christ, this is actually a pretty reserved performance from him.
Yeah,
When he starts the song, it sounds like Slug Christ. How I know he's like, young slugger and all that. It's like he's doing that thing where he's like rapping with his tongue like at the bottom of his mouth, and he's not closing it. You know, he's like doing like halfway a Valley Girl thing. But for his actual verse, he's not doing what I usually know of Slug Christ. He's keeping it pretty reserved and going in for it, like really going with what the track is about and everything. He's not going off topic.
Obnoxious. I still found his inflections obnoxious. Like, he killed the vibe for me. Maybe it was just the way he came into it that just killed the. I'll listen to it again.
The way he comes in at the start of the track, like right at the beginning of the track, is not great. But that is totally him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind this feature. I think the rest of the song, the beat, the beat is incredible.
The beat's excellent. Like, I really like. I don't know. This was, again, the project that really sold me on Peep as an artist, because I heard the wrong stuff first. I heard Hellboy, which I did not care for. I heard one of the Come Over When You're Sober volumes. I don't remember which one. And I was told it was a hip-hop album. And for either one, that's not the way to sell it. One more than the other, but still. And I was not into it. So,
yeah, I mean,
come around, but it just felt very cynical to me. And
I feel like if you don't like white wine, you can't listen to the podcast. I feel like that's another thing we can say, right?
Oh yeah,
another thing to throw on the list.
You can't listen to the podcast if you don't like white wine. Fuck you.
Like, it's just amazing.
You can totally listen to the podcast if you don't like Chardonnay. Chardonnay's trash. But the song White Wine, yeah, fuck off. You can't listen to the podcast if you don't enjoy that song.
That's really a super, like, really emotional, like, song. Like, I mean, just one of, I mean, definitely the most emotional of the three on here, but just like really nakedly emotional once again. Like, that's just you talk about that. It's just the chemistry again, you know.
It's just haunting in a weird way. Like, I remember, like, it's like kind of like in the music video. It just feels like I just imagine Tracy and Peep are in like a house by themselves, very dimly, like just like all the lights are put on like the warm setting, and like it's just them just going for it because they have like nothing better to do and nothing else at all going on in their lives, and they're just letting it all out. Like, it's a really emotional song, and it's also an instance, if I remember correctly, of another microphone sample. So
yeah,
2 for 2.
Really made me listen to that album.
And shout out to like the production, just in general. Like, I mean, like any Peep collab with Net, is it Netarb? Am I butchering that?
It's Brendan backwards, yeah.
It's Nedarb is how I always pronounced it.
Nedarb. All right. So you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah. But any collab those two had, like, I mean, he was really important for like the emo rap scene in general. Like, he's produced a lot of like the songs that are going to be held up as like the pinnacle of the scene, like, for sure.
This is probably one of Tracy's best performances. After going through a lot of his discog, this is probably one of his strongest verses, bar none. Like, just the way he's going about it. The freaking was it? I'm gonna buy a Maserati just to take my life inside.
Yeah, that's a great line.
That's a great line.
Which fun fact? Because I was young and stupid, I used to watch a lot of React channels, and every time that line comes up, people would get really upset. They'd be like, "That's too far. What's wrong with this fucking song?"
What?
Like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. People don't like talking about the idea of, I don't know. I guess they don't like. They're just like, "Oh, this song was so beautiful," and then he had to come in. This rapper had to come in and like talk about blowing his brains out in a car. But which I get. It's a morbid visual, but it's also really it kind of just sums up the entire Gothboiclique aesthetic in a way, where it's like really glitzy and glamoury, but like, you know, what it's all meaningless in the end.
Right.
It's looking good to hide the fact that like you're hurting.
Of course, and that's a huge aspect of Peep's music. I mean, he would contradict himself so many times in his like songs that was like the actual, like you could see the point of the song right there, like as it's hitting.
Right.
Like
you
that's
know?
how Beamer Boy goes. That's like the literal pivot point on the song. He turns
Right.
it on himself.
And that's what, and he did
Right.
that.
Yeah.
He did that a lot, like throughout his career. Like, you know, he would go from, because that's just like,
At least from everything I gleaned, where Peep goes from like, man, these like everybody was wrong. I'm gonna be successful. You're like, these girls don't want me type of thing. Then he goes to like, when we get to like Hellboy era stuff and Castles 2, it's kind of like, yeah, you did want me at one point, but like now that I'm doing really great, now you want me, yeah, good. Now I'm gonna not, if you're gonna be with me, I'm not gonna treat you well, and it's what you get for not being with me before. And then by the time you get to Come Over When You're Sober 1 and 2, it's usually Peep rapping about how like, I'm terrible, you don't want to be with me.
right.
I've gotten to a point where like I'm completely messed up.
And that's the thing. It's more
Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hotter. These hoes up on me. To fucking what was the I'm trying to think of the Earl song. Actually, I don't think there's ever an Earl song where he thinks the girl is wrong.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Peep, like, I mean, to your point about like Beamer Boy Patrick, like, I feel like just him, just the contradictions of like, you know, him like talking about like he's on now and like everybody's hitting his phone. Then he's also like, I feel like I'm a no one. That's what they told me. Like, it's just, there's always that like juxtaposition of, and it would, like I said, it could be in the same hook or verse, the same song. Like it's there. There's
what I wanted to like. I mean, I brought up Earl, but I think you could also bring up Mac. I think you could also even bring up Drake and like the larger talk about Peep's influence, about just like larger talk about like bringing up emotions and rap and popular music, about just talk about this shit in general, and like approaching it in songs that people sing along to with these sort of morbid thoughts, these sort of stories. Like, how much of an influence has Peep been?
I think definitely he has been a big influence on a burgeoning, like, you know, generation that is starting to make music now. Outside of the people that have a grave robbed him, like I'm taking those people out of the equation. But
I
like,
wasn't considering those.
yeah, I just mean like people that are, you know, at this point, like just starting to, or have just started making music in recent years. Like, Peep was obviously a big influence, and you know, I think one of the reasons why like the grave robbing stuff is so disappointing is like because it's very difficult to replicate something like what Lil Peep's music like did, and like how it operated and how it walked that line.
It's that type of thing where it's, I think I talked about this in both my Crybaby and my Hellboy review. It's like, it's because he had first off, it's because like he had a genuine love for both types of genres, and he very much respected both of them a lot, hip hop and a lot of emo punk, pop punk stuff. He loved both of them genuinely. And then what he did is like what a lot of people who were those fans growing up with those genres that were kind of shaky did, is that he took what was there and he knows those genres, so he knows how to improve upon them really well and like take out the kind of iffy or bad like aspects and like just make a perfect like blend or like or just product. Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, basically, think about Rebirth. Like, Lil Wayne did not understand the rock music that he enjoyed. So he was coming at it like a Martian. Like, he always said he was a Martian. Like, imagine a Martian coming to Earth and trying to make, like, Earth food. He doesn't know how Earth food tastes, so he makes some slop that people can't eat. So he comes out with Rebirth, Afterbirth, whatever. You can't eat the shit. Whereas, Lil Peep makes some fucking music that he actually understands where it comes from, the way it's supposed to sound, what people like about it. And then he's able to make rock music that has rap influences, which is what I think somebody like Wayne was trying to do. And he comes out with what he came out with. For the most part, like, again, like, okay, Come Over When You're Sober stuff, I keep harping on this. I really don't like it because I think it's really good at doing stuff I really didn't like in the early 2000s.
Right.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, yeah, that's sometimes that's just what it comes down to. Like, there's not a, if you don't like the music that like a certain like artist is channeling in his own music.
Like Danny Brown come out with the best Snap album ever. I don't like Snap music. So.
Right.
You don't like you're not a Hurricane Chris stan?
I mean,
you're not.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who could do the best A Baby cover that I wouldn't like.
So
I grew up with that song.
I said you by insulting Hurricane Chris.
No, don't feel free to insult Hurricane Chris. I'm reminiscing on watching that song on like MTV2. I guess Hellboy's next, which I guess is
Hellboy is next. Which we are going to fight about this now because this is my absolute favorite Peep project. This is it. This is the big one for
me. I think it's great. I think it's great.
There's only like maybe 3 tracks I don't like. There like or 3 tracks that 2 tracks I'm okay with. 1 I don't like.
Is it
the last track?
Oh, okay. I thought it was the Curb Lagoop track.
Oh no, I think the Curb Lagoop track is great.
Oh no, it's good. I'm just like I thought that you might have not liked his voice or whatever.
I know a bit of Curb. Thank you, Ruben Slikk. But the because
I'm gonna screech the podcast to a halt to say that I heard a Lil Peep and Ruben Slikk chopped and screwed track called "Fuck Fame."
That is on
Smokey album.
Yes,
that was really fucking good. I don't know where I got it from. It's chopped and screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, that's odd.
Where did I get it that was chopped and screwed though?
I have no idea.
Where I got the original from. It was off Goonie Tunes or whatever.
Yeah, it's off the recent Ruben. Yeah, it's off the DJ Smokey Ruben Slikk album.
Well, where the fuck did I get the chopped and screwed version from? I only have this 1 track off of it.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea where you got that. I'm not even aware of that version.
All right, this is the new most obscure thing I'm going to ask for a non-existent audience. If you can figure out where I got this Ruben Slikk and Lil Peep and DJ Smokey chopped and screwed song from, please get me the whole mixtape. It sounded really good. Anyway, continue.
Also, be sure to check out the video where it's Lil Peep and he's just reciting lines by Ruben Slikk because he was a big fan of Ruben.
Also, Ruben Slikk is a really good rapper to get into if you're just getting into rap music. He's really accessible. You'll really like him.
Oh, yeah, you will. Yeah, don't even, the first tape everyone talks about? Well, what I'm telling you is that you need to skip that. You need to go check out, like, Hot Sex or, like, what is it, like, Turd Fighter. That's what you need to go check out first.
Absolutely.
Don't listen. Yeah. Don't listen to those ones. Listen to the one where it's hosted by a DJ. He's like, this is the best mixtape ever. And then he only showed that DJ's on that one song. Never doesn't even come up again for like, I'm going to host this mixtape. And he doesn't come back.
You can't even give me the, damn son, this must be a DJ Smokey exclusive.
I love the one that has like I think it's like Yoshi Emeralds or whatever. It's like protect DJ Smokey, protect Yoshi.
Yeah,
Kush Aliens.
It's definitely the Kush Aliens, like protect DJ Smokey. Also the Maybach music girl, and it's like protect Positive Squad or whatever.
Kush Aliens are invading Earth. oh, what the fuck is up with Kush aliens? Oh, Kush aliens, what the fuck? What? What?
I will say the Ruben Slikk tape that everybody does talk about is a great tape. So
It is a great. It's a shocking ass return to form. If you know anything of what he was doing right before that, he was. I think it was because he was back in prison, and it was either just after he got out. It was like his third time back in prison, and I can't remember. I don't know if it was made right after he got out or while he was in prison, but either way, DJ Smokey got him his. I think Ruben knew that Smokey was like a good producer. It was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do my regular freestyle shit. I'm actually going to write some fucking verses for once, which I haven't done in like 4 years. And it's so good. It's such a good like return to form for him. And then, luckily he's gone right. He's only had one EP after that, but it's also consistent. So I think he might be back on track.
Well, I was really talking about his debut, but his debut record. But the DJ Smokey tape is great too, though.
Yeah, the debut is great too. It's in the same vein. Right after that, it starts going off a cliff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say the full title for obvious reasons, but like, Bleed Kush is one of the best songs like of that era.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole tape is great.
Yeah.
Go listen to Metro Zoo, you fucks. They don't have
enough
ratings.
Whoa.
Not you. Hey, I'm talking to the audience here.
Oh, okay.
Listen.
I've listened. I gave Metro Zoo some looks about a month back, I think.
Yeah.
I have all
they're
10
good.
volumes of that mostly instrumental fucking series of whatever that is.
Kush Pack 3.
Kush Pack, yeah. I have all the Kush Packs.
I've listened to 3.
A few of them.
Patrick has all the Kush Packs in real life and Metro Zoo.
As he should. As everyone should. Go get out there and collect some Metro Zoo. It's all over the place.
Coming soon, the Wyatt's Trip to the Zoo segment.
Yeah, Trip to the Zoo, which I tried to listen to the one of the Ruben's like EPs before we did this, but I couldn't finish it in time, so I didn't get to do my segment. I was just going to completely cut off the Charles Hamilton, like right after the Charles Hamilton segment, I was going to just smash cut into it. Be like, hold on, I got to get this out of my system. Need to let everybody know about Ruben Slikk and his heroin mob.
Well, you had to get it out of your system because how many shit bars was Ruben Slikk gonna have on his mixtape, right?
That's what I wanted to see. Surprisingly, very little this time around. He actually managed to very much reserve himself.
Wow,
so he was a good boy.
We have like Charles Hamilton versus Ruben Slikk fighting for airtime. Right
this is the most like internet rap niche. This is the niche content that our podcast listeners didn't know they needed right here.
Charles Hamilton, we know you're listening to the podcast. We roped you in with the Amy Rose. Let me just tell you right now, you can probably get a collab with Ruben out just one time.
Charles Hamilton was there still screen ending to Sonic Spinball because I only ever played it on Sega Channel and I only ever played like the first 2 levels. But it was cool for a pinball game. I'm just going to keep asking Charles Hamilton very specific Sega questions that I know will eventually get an answer out of him. I know how to crack Charles Hamilton. So I'm going to keep reviewing his albums that no one else has listened to. I'm going to keep asking him specific Sega questions. So,
right.
Anyway, back to Lil
Hellboy.
Peep. Hellboy.
The best Lil Peep album.
Mixtape. I listened to it once. I haven't listened to it since. You guys talk about it.
You should re-listen to this.
Yeah,
because it's a very, I feel like.
Well, I like the one song that I heard, Reverb by Slater Cobain. I like that a lot when I reheard it, so maybe I should listen to it again.
The Cobain track is like I think next to Star Shopping might be my favorite Peep track of all time.
Yeah, it's in
so
my.
Good.
If I had like a top 10 Peep songs, it's probably in there, I think.
Yeah, it's right up there. But the rest of this mixtape is just it's really good. This is where I first started learning about Peep because I think everybody started. I think a lot of people found out about Peep through this mixtape.
Yeah, that's when I first started to like see him pop up.
Right. It was like halfway because of like this was like I think this will. I don't know. I can't say for sure what brought it put all eyes on this one, but it was probably a build up from the Crybaby tape, and then I won't stay on this topic too long because I don't want Pat to lose a gasket. But I think that this was also because for this year, I believe this was like number 4 or something on Anthony Fantano's worst albums of the year list, which got a lot of attention because he never talked.
So I don't lose a gasket because Fantano gets mentioned. I think I listened to this because he mentioned it, actually. Because there was a time, I don't know if I listened to it because he mentioned it or because other people mentioned it. I don't know. I don't know if this was the first thing I heard from him. But I heard it around that time period. I didn't care for it then. It was a while before I heard anything else from Peep. And I kind of put him in the same, this is where the unfortunate original Peep podcast came from, was I put him in the same bucket as Young Lean, they called themselves sad boys with, this dumb spelling. I, as the boomer that I am, said that they were aestheticizing their depression. That's how I viewed it at the time.
Right.
This gave me that. My initial listen to this gave me that impression.
Yeah.
Well, I also think
a song titled Cobain, which I listen to that song now. I love the song, but at the time I heard the song, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the approach.
Right.
And I also think that the cover art is very striking. I think it's probably his most striking cover art to me. I think
I
it's
fucking hate the New Jersey Devils. That didn't help.
But it's just you see this guy and it's the hair and the tattoos and it's such a. It's obviously there's a bit of grunge to it, with just in how the cover art even looks from a discoloring perspective and shit. Right. And to me, it's a very striking cover art, and just it looks like at the time you could look at it and be it looks like this kid's trying to be a rock star, but now it just looks like he was a rock star.
Yeah, I remember the first thing I ever knew about this was this cover. And all I could remember thinking at the time was this fucking white boy. God damn it. There's another fucking one of these. No, don't. Why is there another one of these? And then, I heard a bit of the mix. I don't remember if I had heard a bit of the mixtape prior to his, because I think like most people, I didn't really give Peep a chance until right around the time of his death. But it was initially I was going into it I think the same mentality Pat did, where I was just what this guy is just being some fake emo dude who's trying to oh, I'm so sad and depressed, but I'm also I'm just having sex with so many women, and I could easily get you to love me so easily, and I'm doing drugs all the time. It's great, but also I hate it. Which nowadays, there's just ways that people nowadays I'm less ignorant to being well, no, yeah, he's not just it's dynamic. He's not a flat character. He's got conflicts going on, and I'm not. There's different ways that people are going to express depression and other in those feelings. But. Yeah, this whole mixtape roped me in really hard once I finally got into it, and it's still my favorite. Walk Away When the Door Slams.
Yeah, that's a great track.
OMFG, that's amazing. That's a track I would think I would not like, but with all the screaming on it, and especially given Move On, Be Strong, and how I don't like that track, I think it's the juxtaposition with the really bouncy acoustic instrumental. There's never been a more perfect moment that encapsulates Lil Peep than this is a certified hood classic ad-lib coming in over an acoustic guitar instrumental.
Yeah. This is a certified hood classic.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to the track Gucci Mane, which is a good song, and also Peep has always been a longtime Gucci supporter because he shouted him out. He said "Free Gucci" on White Tee, right?
He did.
That's in the hook of the song. And he said in interviews and stuff that Gucci was a big influence on him.
Yeah, I think he says "free Gucci" at some point on White Tea, I believe, or something.
Yeah,
like
he
that.
says like it's something about Gucci, and then he says free Gucci.
Yeah.
I think that's the
That just made me think about how on the track on Cruel Summer, 2 Chainz says free Gucci, and then he says, I've been saying that so long I should get free Gucci, which makes me think 2 Chainz is a really, really whiny rich guy again. Even back then, he wanted his friend to get out of prison. Then he's like, I've been saying it so long that you give me fucking merch.
Also, when Kanye said, "I'm about to go Gucci in the Gucci store," and that's like Gucci, and Gucci comes in.
No,
It's
that's
like,
great.
that's
No,
peak.
I love that part of the
Peak.
song, but I'm just saying 2 Chainz just like wants shit all the time. Like he was like, I've been saying that so long I should get free Gucci. Like
2 Chainz has plenty of money to afford Gucci, whatever.
exactly. Like he had that song at the end of the fucking last album where he was bitching about having to pay taxes. Like I feel like 2 Chainz complains a lot. 2 complains.
2 complaints. Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know if this is gonna go over so well. Anyway, continue.
Anyhow, but yeah, Hellboy. I feel like how was Curb only ever on one Peep track? KP. I don't know.
I don't know all of his stuff, but I want to say yes. I want to say this is probably the only Curb feature I know of with Peep in it.
Because I've probably heard like half a dozen Curb projects, and there's been no Peep. Although I will say, around this, Peep did the Peep song with Chapo. What is it called? 4 a.m. in LA, right? That's the track.
I think so.
That's a great song. I don't know if you have heard it.
I haven't heard it, but I think I know which. I remember.
It's on the Chapo album, like the Emo Savage album, where it's like the cover art is like
right.
It's the
I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what
the
you're talking
cover
about.
art looks like something off of like Tumblr.
It's the meme. It's the goth chibi meme, but it's made to look like Chapo and like some girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard the second Emo Savage, but not the first Emo Savage.
Okay, because it's the last track on the first Emo Savage, and like the juxtaposition of like Peep doing the hook and like how clean it sounds, and then Chapo's like really raggy, like raspy, very sounds like he's chewing gum while he's rapping, like voice.
Right.
Like
yeah. He's
he's
halfway to swallowing his own tongue.
And it's just like every fourth bar is like, well, Chapo. But
gotta remind you who's on the track.
Yeah, there's a million.
Chapo, man.
Chapo's best anything, I think. I mean, like he has really good tapes, but his best anything is on the Space Ghost song with Cray.
Oh, no doubt.
So Icy.
Yeah,
So Icy. Yeah. Oh my god, that song's fucking incredible.
The whole EP is fucking incredible.
I've never listened to anything this guy has done. The way he describes his rapping makes me want to listen to him.
I'm trying to think of a comp for him. Like, who does he sound like?
I don't think there is anyone he sounds like. It's hard. I feel like Chapo's got too distinct of a delivery and voice to be like mimicked, or he could pull from.
I mean, he very much like bass freestyles like most of his songs.
Definitely.
He said
some guy who sounds like he's chewing bubblegum and eats his tongue while he raps and does bass freestyle dumb shit. Like, and his beats are good. Yeah, like give me a release. Like,
he sounds great he sounds amazing over really dark beats with blown out sub bass that will like really like it. Like that's why he sounds so great on. Even though the Space Ghost track isn't like that, but the Space Ghost track is super super dark. And the way he comes in, and then he does the hook, and it goes to Cray in the second half. Like, that EP, that EP's 5 stars. But
that EP is amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be top 100 EPs all time, like on our way.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's already bolded, as is what is the other? The Larry Bird sessions?
Yeah.
That one just recently got rebolded, so. Perp's moving up. What should also be moving up is this mixtape.
Look at these.
Great.
Look at this transition right here. This is a Caleb transition.
Showing why he's our producer. He effortlessly slides in with the transition.
Right.
Yes. And if we're gonna leave this mixtape soon, I just want to say, nice work there, making the longest track on the album the interlude. That's a great little in joke, and I appreciate it. And
what do you think about the Horsehead collab? Because I think that they had good chemistry.
That was probably, for a time, Peep's biggest track was Girls. That's what I knew a lot of people. That's what I always heard a lot of people knew him for, was this track specifically for a while.
It has a lot of plays on SoundCloud.
Yeah, it has a lot of plays. I would, which doesn't surprise me. I always at first didn't like this track. It's probably at least when I knew Peep, it was probably minus a few tracks here and there that you can find as Lucy's, it's probably his most like mean-spirited towards girls, just in the sense that he's like, I'm gonna just have I just get all the girls. It's amazing.
Well,
and I always thought it was kind of smug.
I guess we should talk about this because I mentioned this on like last week's show about like the whole mean-spirited thing that
G-Eazy.
Song we were talking about.
G-Eazy, when he did the fucking Halsey diss track, essentially.
Right, and I was talking about how I think a lot of rappers, how that's unappealing. Like Big Sean did "I Don't Fuck With You," and Drake did "Marvin's Room." But then, like, where do we think that Peep falls on that? Like, with the obvious, like, the Lil B influence, but like Lil B is like obviously not serious. Maybe he is. Who the fuck knows? He's got 100 bitches or 1,000 bitches or 1,000,000 bitches. And where do we think Peep falls? Like with the rags and that type of shit.
I mean, I think it has a lot more of just in the names you meant, I can go through. So I feel like, Big Sean, we know that's like whiny bullshit. And like, G-Eazy, it's fucking G-Eazy. And like Logic, people like that.
You just brought Logic out of nowhere. I did not mention Logic.
Hey, well, because we compared the G-Eazy album to Supermarket, that's why. So I had to, I was related.
We got to get it at least in the episode.
They're in the same bucket when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I think when it comes to like those artists doing breakup songs or songs that involve, a relationship, those are not dynamic songs. Like even, Drake has plenty of songs that aren't dynamic, but he also does have songs that like inwardly look in at himself and like, kind of peel back that like layer of like the I'm too cool Drake versus like the like, I'm actually bad at this Drake. But
Peep, he did that on the song about his son. That would have been nice.
It would have been way better than what the song was. But no, I think Peep, what you were saying earlier, KP, but just like there is a dynamic to it where it's not going to be consistent, but that's because Peep's not consistent, and that's because like we're not consistent, like as people, like you might be one way 1 minute and the next way another minute, and so
right.
I think it ties itself into like how he is like was internally, like at that moment when he made the song. Because he, in the documentary, I keep citing this because I thought it was like a pretty good documentary, pretty insightful. Like he talked about his personal process would be like, not all the time, but sometimes like he would just like have an idea for a song and like walk 5 feet over to the mic next to the computer in like this living room in a house and like do the song and then like be done with it, and then it would go up like 2 hours later. It's like that kind of spontaneity.
Right.
So all the spontaneous emotions you're feeling at like this one moment is probably like how you get songs that are vastly different.
Right. Yeah, and I just want to say this because I didn't get to it, but those feelings I had were at first. But if you contrast what Peep does with his hook and verse versus what Horsehead does, it kind of counterbalances it out. I feel like because Peep does have tracks where it's like he'll sound like he's being very mean-spirited, but then he'll clear up that no, I'm also terrible. I realize that I'm terrible. This is probably for the best thing that you leave or whatever. I know I'm not doing good at being a boyfriend or in this relationship. I think Horsehead's verse makes up for that. Because it actually is a very good guest verse. I think this is like a pretty good highlight for what I've heard of Horsehead, which is not much.
I just thought of this. Does Pete predates Brockhampton? Do we think Pete was an influence on Brockhampton?
Interesting. Kevin
around the same time as Pete doing different shit.
But Kevin also, I could see Kevin listening to Pete a lot. Like, I could see Pete being an influence on Kevin.
I could.
Like, have you heard Kevin's early shit, like the MTV 1985 and American Boyfriend?
I heard American Boyfriend, and I think I heard the other one too.
It felt mostly Frank Ocean-y to me.
Yeah, it did. American Boyfriend was good, but it was like Frank Ocean. It was like good Frank Ocean cosplay, but it just felt like
it did not feel like his own. He felt much more comfortable in his own skin on what he was doing on the Saturation trilogy, and even the stuff prior to that was like around on the mixtapes and such. But still, like, it was still good for what it was. Like, he already had fully formed concepts. But I'm saying more in terms of just being able to emotionally express yourself in that directly emotional way. Like, I feel, I don't know.
You think a song like Bleach doesn't exist without like listening to Peep and some other music?
Peep was breaking open the lane for direct references to 2000s emo. Brockhampton broke it open for boy bands. Boy bands, if anything, are even more uncool than emo.
Oh yeah, way more uncool.
Oh yeah. Has nothing. I don't think anything boy band related has aged well yet, or had any sort of like reevaluation worth any reevaluation.
Outside of like, Brockhampton realized is that boy bands don't scare the hoes.
Yeah, that was, and then of course, but the problem is then they.
Amir scared the hoes.
Jesus Christ.
God damn it, Patrick.
My goodness.
Oh my God. We're leaving that in there. We have to leave that.
Oh no, don't edit that out.
I'll leave it in.
When we do the Brockhampton episode, that's gonna be like this the falling off is really tied to one or two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.